Brandon Borrello, he's certainly in some fantastic form after that double last week against the Raw. Well, for the Knicks, it's all a matter of expectation. Last season in round one, they arrived here in Parramatta for the opening match, with many predicting them to come last. They stunned the competition to go within minutes of a first grand final. But this season, with greater expectations and some pressure after back-to-back defeats, can they handle the heat in Parramatta? One change for Alen Stagic's team after that 2-2 draw with Brisbane. So Pantazopoulos injured his medial last week, so he's replaced by Pelikanos at centre-back, who makes his first A-League start. Injuries to Jong Tae-wook and Pantazopoulos mean 19-year-old former Australian schoolboys captain Jesse Cameron is the defensive reinforcement on the bench. Well, Bojidar Kraev comes up against his old side for the first time. And he's looking forward to this clash with his old teammates. The last 2 seasons with the Knicks, he played 54 matches in Wellington colours. And here is how his old side lines up today. There's a sole change for Giancarlo Italiano after that defeat to MacArthur last week. So Marco Rojas rolled his ankle at training this week, so Corbin Piper is his replacement. He's on A-League starting debut in a back 5. Tim Payne announced this week he'll be at the Knicks until 2028 after a contract extension, while Costa Barbarouses is just 2 goals away from being the 4th player to bring up a century of goals in the A-League men. So he's got the most goals as a Kiwi in this competition, going past Shane Smeltz with 92. He's now at 98. He is so close. He's scored in his last 4, Costa. And he loves scoring goals in December as well. As we've heard Jason Pine talk about the last 2 weeks, it is quite incredible the record that he has as we come into Christmas. He is literally the Santa Claus of the A-League. He brings gifts to any side that he's playing for come December. Well, Alen Stajic and his coaching staff feel like they have got themselves on the right track. Just 1 defeat in their last 4. That was against Sydney FC. Wins against Newcastle, Melbourne City, and that draw last week against Brisbane. Maybe you'd say a half step back against a Raw side struggling, but importantly, it wasn't a defeat. And that's what he has suffered the last 2 weeks, Giancarlo Italiano. Back-to-back defeats. He said this week the focus was on resetting what this group needs with the elevated expectations. Alex King, the 2-time A-League Men's Referee of the Year, 145th appointment in this competition. So we're ready to go here. Second last match in round 9 of the Isuzu UTE League. So a top 6 spot is up for grabs this afternoon in Western Sydney, the Wanderers and Wellington Phoenix. And it's a very good afternoon to Phil Moss. Mossy, the final match for these 2 sides before Christmas. Who do you feel is best placed to enter the festive season in high spirit?
Well, good afternoon, Benny. It's a wonderful day for football out here at Parramatta. Both teams coming off a frustrating last round. Obviously, the Wanderers unable to put Brisbane to the sword in what became a very controversial second half of football. And Wellington, of course, back-to-back losses across the ditch. Fancy the home side today. I just think seeing them warm up, speaking to some of the staff, a couple of the players before the game, they just seemed in the mood.
A slip from Hughes. Sapsford, it could not have started any better for Western Sydney inside the first minute. And they hit the front. Sapsford with his 3rd of the season. And what an absolute disaster for the Phoenix and Isaac Hughes.
Well, no sooner did I mention that they're in the mood They found the back of the net, and it comes through that mistake right there on the Harvey Norman replay. But it's wonderfully executed by Western Sydney. You can see when you have Borrello sniffing around and there's a mistake like that, and Sabsett makes no mistake with a very assured finish to give the home side the exact start they were hoping for.
Well, there he is, the masked Raider, the former Redfern Raider, Zach Sapsford, with another goal this season. What a year he's having, the 22-year-old. His best career in the A-League men. And Wellington Phoenix forced to come from behind yet again. They conceded inside the opening minutes last week from the penalty spot. Alain Germain put MacArthur ahead. Maybe they'll respond straight away here. Fully accepts the cross from Corbin Piper. Well, Mossy, we were chatting off there, wondering how many goals we'd get this afternoon. Well, this is shaping up nicely.
It certainly is. I mean, we've got 3 of the top 4 goal scorers in the league as it stands in Barbarousis, Milanovic and Borrello on the pitch. There's a younger player who stole the headlines very early on with Sapsford. Set up beautifully by Borrello. It was a heartbreaking mistake from Wellington. And all the game plan that you work on during the week leading into a game, all of a sudden, this is his first major thorn in its side within the first minute.
Well, it's been a tough few weeks for Isaac Hughes. He scored the own goal in the derby. Then last week he gave away the penalty that Jamart converted after the save from Oluwayemi, and then a slip which set up Western Sydney's opening goal. So a big test of his resolve after what's been a little challenging period early on in his A-League men's career. 20 years of age. He started all 8 to begin the campaign.
And this is where senior players and leaders like your Roofers and your Wootons come into it. They've got to get around the youngster and make him realise that the mistake's gone now. There's nothing you can do about it. It's what you do next, and his next few touches have been pretty assured, which is always a good sign. It's a foul. Brendan Borrello on Paolo Retre. Just letting him know that he's there or thereabouts.
Tim Payne unable to keep the ball from crossing the sideline. Great news for him during the week, and Knicks fans will be at the club, the All-White, until 2028. A contract extension announced on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's a great signing by Wellington to keep Tim Payne. I read during the week that he had the option of potentially going home to Auckland. He's originally from. He's enjoying his football. He's playing good football. He sees a real pathway to improving, not just at club level but international level. He's a critical player in the dressing room, Giancarlo Italiano.
Well, first big test of his coaching career, Giancarlo Italiano, off the back of back-to-back defeats for the first time in his career as an A-League men's head coach. Shows you how impressive a start it's been. And it all started here against Western Sydney in the opening round last year. For him, if you cancel out those 2 matches where he was head coach when Ufi Talay was out due to the COVID protocols. And it started with a resolute draw, a 0-0 draw it was, and it really set them up for the season ahead. But this season they've just started to leak a few sloppy goals, and once again here they find themselves behind.
Well, the start comes is even more important for the Wanderers. They've drawn twice and won twice this season when scoring first. Yet to lose when they take the lead, the Wanderers.
And to add to your stat, Mossy, Wellington, when they've conceded first, they're yet to win a game. Conceded first in both derbies, and then last week against Macarthur, all defeats for the Knicks. Stats there to be broken though. Sapsford trying to scoop it into the path of Borello. Now Kriev wins it back for Western Sydney.
Well, I dare say it'll be Italiano saying stats are there to be broken. Stadgy could be saying stats are there for a reason, to give you confidence.
Leaving it for Sapsford. Space out to the left, and that pass just a little too close to Corbin Piper. Making his starting debut in the A-League men's. Actually spent some time in the New Zealand First Division, but also in the Irish Second Division as well, with Westford back in 2023, before returning to Birkenhead, where he began his senior career in New Zealand. Cicluna allowed space. Gee, he wasn't far away there. Dylan Cicluna to his first goal in this competition. They allowed him an acre of space.
Yeah, they just kept backing away, didn't they? Gave him too much space, Cicluna. He took almost full advantage of it. That move was all started by Nagasawa giving the ball away needlessly, just panicking when Wellington had first won possession. Giving the ball straight back to Western Sydney. They gratefully held on to the ball for a few passes, and then that was the chance that came at the end of it.
Well, they don't need one of their key players like Nagasawa making those kind of mistakes. He's got some kind of resume. AFC Champions League winner back in 2017 with Urawa. Also won a Bundesliga 2 title. Ishige as well has been so important for Wellington this season. They'd love a few more goals though. We saw one of them against Mariners in round 4. What a spectacular free kick it was.
Well, I think Borello's...
Milanovic, speaking of goals, 5 this season. Does he add more? He's looking for Borello. Oh, that is beautiful! Bozhidar Kriev with the final touch. That is majestic football from Western Sydney Wanderers.
Well, you want a snapshot of combination play around the opposition box that leads to a goal. There it is. That would have been worked on the training pitch during the week to fill the right spaces with the right players. On the Harvey Norman replay, Milanovic drives forward. Borello once again so unselfish, puts it on a platter for Kriev, who makes absolutely no mistake whatsoever. Once again, the Wanderers really in the mood this afternoon.
So Kriev gets the goal against his old side, and he was saying, nah, it's not about me. It's about the beautiful, beautiful build-up. Milanovic, Borello, Kriev. He says, it's all about you, Brandon. You put it on the plate. 2-0 Western Sydney. 13 A-League career goals for Wellington. He's now got 2 for Western Sydney.
And once again, Wellington just not being able to settle on the ball in possession and keep it for sustained periods. Giving it away cheaply, and Milanovic, whose intent as soon as he received that ball was to drive at the Wellington defence. What I loved about those 2 goals from Borello last week, the first one was all about grit, determination and a mindset to attack the ball, which he did from the head. The second one was pure class from the free kick, the knuckle ball. It was a snapshot of what he brings to this side. This afternoon it's been all about the assists. Well,
an absolute joy to watch. And all the Wanderers fans that have come out to Combank Stadium this afternoon. They are very appreciative they came down, because they have been able to witness some stunning football from their side.
Well, I was talking to one of the Wanderers coaching staff before the game. His name's Milos Ninkovic.
I thought that you were going to leave them unnamed.
No. Well, when I spoke to him, and he was one that sort of just gave me a feeling that the Wanderers were really in the mood this afternoon, and those couple of goals, no doubt he will have been playing his part on the training pitch around those combinations, because he was the absolute master of it.
Well, the coaching staff of Western Sydney just felt like there's been a turning of the tide in the last few weeks. And Oluwayemi is going to grab onto it in the end. A little bit of miscommunication. There was just a feeling that, yes, last week against Brisbane, frustrating, but they didn't lose. Back-to-back matches without defeat, just one in their last 4. There was a feeling that maybe things were starting to shift under the new boss, Stajic. Chike given a ball to chase, and Lawrence Thomas, leader of this side.
And I should say too, Benny, I obviously caught up with the Wellington staff as well, and it's not that I felt anything negative from talking to them. It was just this positivity that I felt from the Western Sydney staff, just having a chat on the pitch before the warm-ups, looking at the body language of the players. It just looked very positive. They looked like they had a real spring in their step.
Tough week as well for Wellington. Stefan Kolakowski out for the season, and probably 12 months at least with that ACL injury. And then they lost Marco Rojas at training with the ankle problem, so that's another long-termer. And this man, Alex Rufer, he's been struggling with a bit of illness, so they haven't had the greatest week, and they come here, and Western Sydney have been red hot from the outset.
Well, Alex Rufer may have had a virus during the week. He just had a rash on him then, because Cicluna wasn't letting him go anywhere. He was all over him like a rash. And it was a foul in that instance. But just letting Rufer know he's not going to get too much breathing space on the ball in the midfield for Wellington this afternoon.
Sawa linking with Sutton. Ishige clipping it up towards Payne, but just over his head. Strong win by Rufer, but illegally, according to Alex King.
At first glance, I'm not sure that was a foul. I think Rufer gets enough of the ball there to justify a clean challenge. And there it is there. Alex King thought otherwise, and he's got the whistle in his mouth, Ben. I don't.
And he's got a couple of A-League Men Referee of the Year awards as well, too.
As a former coach, I've got plenty of Referee of the Year awards. Coaches always know best, don't we?
So first 15 minutes, wow, what a start. 2-0 up Western Sydney.
Well, it's changed the dynamic of the game, hasn't it? Western Sydney really now have a chance to come up with a real statement win this afternoon if they're ruthless enough and clinical enough, whereas Wellington really have to show their character, of which they've got plenty. There is no doubt about that. They need to be the next on the score sheet.
Well, last time they were here was during Unite round, and it was Italiano v Stajic as well. It was Wellington against Perth, and Wellington won that 4-3. It was an enthralling game. So they certainly will have belief, Wellington. Problem is, the goals haven't been as free-flowing this season, and they've really been coming from one source. And that's Costa Barbarouses, 5 this season. And then Ashige, Sutton, Wooten and Payne all with 1 apiece.
there's a foul from Isaac Hughes on Bozidar Kraev. Interesting comments during the week to Kraev, how much he made him laugh last season. He's obviously got a sense of humour. BK, as he's known. Now applying his trade for Western Sydney.
Sapsford's got the speed, and he's got the run of Milanovic. Dishes it off to Borello, looking for the angle, finds it. And a disappointing end there for Western Sydney. Gee, every time they get in and around the box, they look likely, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. They look sharp. It's the intent. Straight away you see Sapsford driving, and then there's a good way to pass there. Milanovic, who could have taken it in his stride, doesn't. Lays it off for Borello, and you could see what he was trying to do, Borello, just to create that half a yard and bend it into the top far corner as we see shots on goal. 4-0 in favour of the home side. 2 of those have already been converted. There's another telling statistic, 5 touches to 2 in the opposition box.
Barbarousis just waiting for it to catch up to him almost there. Lawrence Thomas came out. Just having a look at this result for Western Sydney. So if they win this by 3, they would go into the top 6. Which would be most impressive after the seesawing start to the season they had. Winless in their first 3. Draw with Western United, defeats to Sydney and Adelaide. That draw against Western United and the defeat to Adelaide don't look quite as bad after the start to the season those 2 sides have had.
See the foul on Milanovic. Good decision, referee Alex King. But yeah, it's really about building consistency, isn't it, for Western Sydney Wanderers? And as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, there's a chance now for a statement win. They've got their fair share of flack this season. At home, 2-0 lead in the opening 20 minutes. Maybe you've got a chance to silence the knockers. It's this afternoon.
Rufer a bit frustrated here, and he's walking over to Borello, and he's given him a fair shove in the back. He is fired up, the Wellington Phoenix captain. Borello did not react at all. He just walked straight away from the scene.
Well, he did. He fell over. He's stronger than that. Didn't need to go to ground, but neither did Rufer need to push him.
I was thinking more from the confrontational sense. Often you see a player will get back up and get in his face, but Borello just off he went. It almost shows you that the calmness Western Sydney seem to be playing with today.
Yeah, there is definitely an air of confidence, isn't there, and calmness.
Look at that. He's engaging in a bit of conversation, but...
Well, Shikluna, when he took Rufer to ground earlier, he stuck his hand out to shake Rufer's hand, and he wasn't having a bar of the handshake. So he was clearly agitated with how the opening 20 minutes had gone for his side. No doubt he's been in his sick bed too during the week, so that never helps in preparation for a game. But if they need anyone to really stand up today, it's Alex Rufer, of which he's more than capable from a leadership point of view and a quality of player point of view.
Lawrence Thomas put under some pressure. Brillante up towards Kraev. And Alex King saying there wasn't enough doing there for a free kick.
Well, he's done exceptionally well there, Kraev, just to use his body. He was aware of where the threat was coming from the defensive point of view of Wellington.
Roofer using his body well.
Just all a bit static ahead of the ball for Wellington at the moment. No real movement with intent.
Ishige getting a little clipped here on the way and earns a free kick, and we'll go to one man who's certainly not static on the sideline, Tristan McManus. Tristan.
Fantastic. This is great. You know, when I got here today, I kicked the ball into the net and I was like, yeah, she's ready for goals today. And that's exactly what we got from the start. The crowd was a bit subdued at the start. It annoyed me a little bit. But I can see why, because Wanderers really haven't got going yet. But they certainly have today. And they should be nicking at people. They should be kicking people. Brandon Brello's been running into people all morning. And that's what the fans need. 2-0 right now isn't good enough. 3-0, like you said, takes them into the top 6. Anything less than that, I don't think is going to be good enough. But the fans need something to get behind. And they're definitely getting it today.
Thanks, Tristan. Can Wellington find some route back into this match? We know Ishige's quality from the dead ball. It's a decent delivery, and Wood got ahead to it. It's just going to be a goal kick, though.
That's wonderful delivery from Ishige from a very wide area. Look at that beautiful tail on it. Good trajectory as well. And it was Scott Wootton. He knew that ball was there to be attacked. There's only one problem with Tristan's theory, and that was the net that he was kicking the ball into was at the other end of the pitch from where the goals have been scored.
Are you saying he's cursed the Wellington end?
That was a warning to the other goal.
I think Giancarlo Italiano's just tweaked his lineup a little bit here, gone to a back 4 by the looks of it. 4-4-2 with Ishige pushing up front with Costa Barbarouses. Just giving his side a chance to maybe press a little bit higher, win the ball back.
Barella slipped through by Cicluna and Clisby. Sapsford on the first attempt couldn't manoeuvre Piper, or the second. Important win there from Corbin Piper. He's going to go for a little run up and over halfway, which is then ended by the man who gave him the ball initially in Sapsford.
It's that discretionary effort from Sapsford. It says a lot about the frame of mind that Western Sydney are in and the standards that the coaching staff are driving. He made the mistake much higher up the pitch. The mistake was one thing, it was all about the recovery. He was the one to take the ball back off Piper.
Bonnetti. And Sapsford glances it to Barello. Now Cicluna driving it through. That's important from Hughes, but it's Milanovic who was very close to the first to react. It was Tim Payne in the nick of time for the Knicks. Now Barbarouses. Well, that is outstanding goalkeeping from Lawrence Thomas.
Well, it had to be perfectly timed from the Western Sydney Wanderers goalkeeper. And by gee, didn't he time it perfectly. That could have been a very, very risky situation. It had to be all in from Lawrence Thomas. He won a very, very important battle. Here's that replay. It's a good forward run from Barbarouses. Good ball played through.
Milanovic just tried to fire from range. It looked good. Blocked by Wellington. And now Kleur bumped off the ball, just not strong enough. Barbarouses with a key win for Wellington, and they can spring forward here. through Tim Payne. Barbarousis from outside the box, blocked on the first. Nagasawa, Ishige, and Bonatic with that left boot, but this time Ishige gets in front of Clisby.
Well, it was a good transition to attack by Wellington, but how quickly Western Sydney got numbers behind the ball was absolutely key to defending that situation.
Rufer clips it in front of Sutton. Hughes, and couldn't link his pass with Rattray. There was frustration from the captain there, Rufer.
Yeah, it was a low percentage ball. It had to be absolutely pinpoint from a player who was very high up the pitch for the position that he plays. Percentage pass was to his captain to keep things building, keep building that pressure on Western Sydney.
Milanovic. Lisby's delivery off the head of Piper. Well, you'd say Wellington, they had their best spell of the game there, but here's Western Sydney again, applying the blowtorch. Barello and Piper only as far as Sapsford. Sapsford hit the deck inside the box, but Corbin Piper, he made up for his initial mistake.
Oh, did he what? He had to be so strong there because you thought that Barello and Sapsford had the momentum to get something out of that situation, but Piper, credit to him, stuck to his task.
Well, that had 3-0 written all over it. Sutton, great delivery, beautiful shape on the ball. Tim Payne attacking it. Barello, meanwhile, going the other way. Now Kriev comes crashing through on Sutton.
Well, that was a good passage of play from Wellington. Really good delivery into the box for Tim Payne to throw himself at. As we see the foul from Kriev. It's ball and all. The fact that he slides in from the side. The studs raised initially, but he got them down very quickly. As we head to a drinks break.
And Bonatic just getting some treatment here. Touching his head, so they don't need another injury to a defender, Mossy.
No, they certainly don't. I think that might have come from his defensive work against Tim Payne in that last passage of play. Memory serves me, it was Bonatic just defending Payne. Here it is there. You just see Tim Payne as he's going for the ball, just collects the side of Bonatig's head. He's brave defending, brave attacking, great delivery into the box. Good football all round.
Well, Tristan's watching things from downstairs. Tristan, Wellington have had their best little patch of the game, but Western Sydney's still looking sharp.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm trying to listen to Chiefy here in front of me. He's just telling everyone to keep it calm there. I mean, obviously he's not happy with the way that the first 10 minutes started. They're coming back into it a little bit, I suppose. But I think they just feel a little bit aggrieved. I think Wanderers are a little bit more aggressive than Phoenix are at the moment. And I think, like I said, I think that's what they need. Wanderers almost need to play this like it's a derby. And Kriev, I think, was going to be huge. I was talking to you guys before the game. I thought a goal for Kriev today might really kick him on. I think Rufer still feels a little bit aggrieved about the attention that he's getting, but that's what you need. You're the home team. Wanderers always play best when it's them against everyone else, and they just need to get that fear factor back.
Thanks, Tristan. Important point as well, too, Mossy, I was just thinking about, and I know some people might shout, well, this is an excuse, but dealing with the derbies this year, Wellington. There's a lot of emotional energy that goes into those derbies. And you'd even say about Auckland last week, they were flat against City in the first half, got away with a 2-2 draw, and then well beaten by Western United. Wellington lost to Auckland, then last week against Macarthur. Slow start, and a slow start again here. So just an extra element they've got to deal with this year, the extra emotional energy that goes into a derby.
Yeah, that's right. And we know there was a lot of emotion around that last derby.
Around the word lucky, wasn't it? Is that right? Do you know what happened in the tunnel, Mossy?
Not going there, Benny. What happens in the tunnel stays in the tunnel. The coach's code. But it is a good point from Trist as well. He's a very, very educated football person. That mindset, that siege mentality that Western Sydney Wanderers need to adopt, maybe just to build some consistency. We'll call this a W derby. Western Sydney Wanderers against Wellington.
There's a few of them. Borello in his 50th match for Western Sydney Wanderers. What a player he's been for them, back in the goals again this season after a bit of a lean spell last year. Just a 1 goal after that broken foot restricted him. Kriev, if you missed it, Kriev scoring against his old side. Clerk, Sapsford, Borello. It probably should be 3-0. They have had enough chances since those opening 2 goals, Western Sydney.
Well, they have, and they have worked this on the training pitch. I have no doubt about this. Those pockets that Sapsford is taking up, and he's working as a platform, if you like, with the ball driven into him. And as soon as the ball leaves the feeder's foot into Sapsford, and Milanovic a couple of times as well, there are runners zeroing in on them for the second ball.
Wharton, Rufer given away again, sloppy from Wellington. Kriev. Cluna. Borello was just trying to let it run on to Kriev. And Piper, can this start something for Wellington? There's space for Nagasawa. And Ishige. Well, we don't need reminding about the danger of a 2-0 scoreline. Wellington need that one moment. We know Costa Barbarouses, how prolific he's been. Goals in his last 4. 5 this season for the leading goal scorer in this competition. Equal with Nick Milanovic from Western Sydney.
No, we certainly don't need reminding of the danger of a 2-0 scoreline, but it is there. How many times over the years at all different levels of football have we experienced that 2-0 scoreline, and that's why Western Sydney need to be ruthless. They need to chase that 3rd goal. I'm not saying they're not. They certainly can't afford to sit on a 2-0 lead.
Ishige using the overlap of Payne. Another set-piece opportunity, but it's going to be manoeuvred quickly back here to Piper. Hughes. Barbarousis dropping into midfield. Another good spell this for Wellington, but the end product is what they're after. Sutton.
See how compact Western Sydney Wanderers are. All players behind the ball. Two banks of four and a front two with Sapsted and Borello.
Payne Nagasawa nicked by Clearsby. Flipping it up the line. This will be a Wanderers throw. Well, you've got to credit Western Sydney for that little period defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. They were very disciplined. They got behind the ball. They gave no space away. And that is key because they've now scored 17 goals, 4 in 7.5 games of football as it stands, and conceded 14. So a clean sheet today goes without saying. That will be one of the goals.
Well, you look at them, goals scored haven't been a problem. 6th best in the league coming into this one. Defensively, 10th best. Western City coming into this clash. Wellington, quite the opposite. Goals scored 10th. Goals conceded 2nd best in the competition before the 2 they conceded this afternoon. So this is a big challenge for Wellington. They've got to buck the trend to start the season. They've got to find some goals. And there's some big shoes to fill. You look at goal scorers for them last year. Ben Old, Zavada, no longer at the club.
Rayev chimed in with a few as well.
Yep, there's another one. Yeah, so got to find some new avenues here, Wellington, and this is as good a test as they're going to get 2-0 down, back-to-back defeats. How is the resolve of Wellington Phoenix in season 20 of the A-League? Hughes and Rufer. Payne is off down the right. Rufer looks up and sees the run of the New Zealand international, linking with Barbarousis. A moment then you thought that was his opportunity, just shut off.
That was a really good run from Ishigay. He drove diagonally inside to open the space for Tim Payne to get over the top. He was dutifully found and beautifully found with a diagonal pass, but they just couldn't find that cutting edge at the end of the movement.
What a terrific starting debut it's been for this man. Dean Pelikanos coming off a season with Rockdale where they won the NPL New South Wales Premiership. Played in the Australia Cup as well, round of 32. And they went down to Newcastle. And then gets an opportunity with Western Sydney. 3 appearances off the bench. Comes into the starting side with Pantazopoulos out. Jonte Wook as well out with a stress fracture. So have heard that Western Sydney will be going after some defensive reinforcement and the January transfer window opens up. Now having a look at the moment, seeing who's out there, Australian and internationals, but Australian players are the preference. Berlanta and Kraev. By Berlante. Those are the moments, Josh Berlante, maybe not noticed by everyone, but just breaks down that Wellington promising attack and gives Western Sydney a chance.
Oh, he's a great midfield disruptor, is Josh Brillante. He covers so many blades of grass every game. I worked with him at Sydney FC for a year. He was in the midfield with Brandon O'Neill, and they had just a wonderful understanding. But Joshy certainly gets through a mountain of work that quite often goes unnoticed. Not by his coaches, I can guarantee you, and his teammates.
A fleeting spell in the Serie A. Spent some time with Fiorentina and Empoli after his time with Newcastle.
Well, I'd imagine some of the messaging at half-time from Chiefy will be about the timing of when Wellington really start to press the issue, because they're going to have to press a little bit higher in the second half to win the ball and transition into attack. So a little bit of push and shove between Paolo Retre and Ozidar Kraev. Cicluna again putting himself about in midfield.
There's a captain's challenge. Rufer coming in, and he's got some words to say to Borello, and across comes King.
Well, I dare say he has been waiting and waiting and waiting for that opportunity. Given some exchanges earlier in this first half. And there it is.
And again, Borello doesn't get up angrily or anything. They have taken the blue pill today, haven't they? Western Sydney. They are so calm. That's what they say, Mossy. The calm pill.
Right. Wasn't going to go there.
That's what the sports psychologists say.
Certainly there's a conversation between Borello and Alex Rufer happening with wry grins on both their faces. This is not their first rodeo, Ben Homer.
Barbarousis takes it off the toes of Brillante and Alex. Here we go. Now Borello, he's pulled out the step overs. Now Alex King's just having a word here to Sutton. He's all of a sudden running around here, the referee, just making sure that there's no little spot fires that develop just before half time. Wellington are frustrated. Western Sydney very happy with their work in this first half, but still a full half of football to come. And the 2-goal lead is not a winning one for Western Sydney. They want more.
I wouldn't imagine there'd be too much injury time coming off this first half. The game's flowed. We did have that slight drinks break. I wouldn't anticipate any more than a couple of minutes.
I've been told, Mossy, that you bang on. Tim Danaskis with the board. And it will be 2 minutes of additional time in this first half. Enough time for another goal. Took Western Sydney less than a minute to open the scoring from the start of this one. Sapsford pressuring Hughes. He's done well, Hughes, to ride the challenge and then beat Kraev. This is brilliant from Isaac Hughes, but there's no end product for Wellington.
Well, there it is, the lack of the cutting edge that has plagued Wellington in this first half. That was brilliant work from Isaac Hughes, who we know had that slip-up that led to Western Sydney's first goal this afternoon. Gee, he used his body well then, but it was just the final pass. He'd done all the hard work so brilliantly. It was a clutch moment that let him down.
So can Wellington create the final opportunity of this first half? A little bit of space here for Ishige, and he rushes into it and he fires into the red and black block.
Well, I dare say that's another example. That was a really good pocket of space on the edge of the box that Ashige found himself in. Look at this. He's got no pressure really on the ball. He's got to hit the target there. He's at least got to force a save from Lawrence Thomas.
Well, it didn't start well this half for Wellington. It hasn't finished superbly for them either. Some strong conversations to be had at half-time. And it's Western Sydney Wanderers who will head to the sheds with a 2-0 lead. Zach Sapsford scoring inside the opening minute, and then the ex-Wellington man, Boshidar Kraev. He scored the second, which was assisted by some beautiful build-up, which included Brandon Borello. Half-time at Combank. Western Sydney Wanderers 2, Wellington Phoenix 0. And we will take a quick break, and Trista McManus and Phil Moss will be downstairs for the halftime show. We'll see you soon.
To be careful, Bozanovsky lunging in as Wayne gets to the byline, the cutback! And it's Adrian Segincic with his second. Mashash, he's got space. Mashash, still going. Mashash shoots and he scores! In back-to-back matches.
Hello there and and welcome back to Combank Stadium, where the Western Sydney Wanderers are leading Wellington Phoenix by 2-0. And this is the Harvey Norman highlights are coming up, but this is the Hungry Jack halftime show. I'm here with Phil Moss. Mossy, Wanderers we knew needed a big performance today. Are they giving us what they needed or what we wanted?
Not yet. They've had a good start. I think they've laid the platform, but now they've really got to go on with it. I think Western Sydney have got an opportunity here for a statement win, and they've copped a fair bit of flack this season for their lack of consistency. Can they keep a clean sheet? But more importantly, can they go on with this and put a couple more goals on Wellington? We know Wellington have made a tough stuff, so they won't go away. But at home, with a 2-0 advantage going to the second half, Western Sydney really need to step into this game now. Yeah,
well, speaking of tough stuff, it was a tough start, I suppose, for Wellington Phoenix. It was a tough start for Wanderers in terms of their fans and getting them going, but it didn't take them long to. As we take a look at the Harvey Norman highlights here, you can talk us through them. 50 seconds in.
Yeah, that's right. It was a slip from Hughes. It was absolutely key. But look at this for combination play around the box. Borello, so unselfish, into the path of Sapsford, who makes absolutely no mistake. And this is what you've got to do. You've got to capitalise and be ruthless on opposition mistakes. And that's where Western Sydney did so well. But those front men for Western Sydney, they came out firing. They came out sharp. They had a glint in their eye before the game, Tristan, when we saw them in the warm-up. So I wasn't surprised to see them so sharp to start with. This one here, Milanovic, he was so... his intent to drive at the Wellington defence, and then playing Borello, who unselfishly once again lays it into the path of Kraev, who gave him the due recognition for being so unselfish. Brilliant work around the box.
Yeah, he really drives them on, Borello. That's what you need. Like I said, from the tip-off, he ran straight into Hughes, straight into Sutton. He really set the tone. As we take a look at the match stats here, I mean, possession, there's not too much in that, but even the shots in goal, I actually thought it favoured Western Sydney more than it actually has. 5 on 3, 2 on target. The only thing that's important, though, is that 2-0 scoreline.
Yeah, that's right. And the expected goals, I thought that would have been a little bit higher for Western Sydney, but nonetheless, I think what's really been lacking for Wellington, once they got a foothold in the game, was the cutting edge. They had nothing on the end of it when they transitioned to attack. It was a bit blunt in the top third, so I'll need to fix that in the second half.
When it comes to Wellington Phoenix, I guess it was a terrible start. Anyone can slip. I mean, you saw Kukurea do it a couple of weeks ago, done it twice. But in terms of the start that they had beyond that, it just wasn't really good enough, was it?
No, that's right. It took them a while just to keep possession, just to build some sustained pressure on Western Sydney. But then when they worked the ball into that top third, there was no cutting edge, and that's the key to getting them back in the game. If there's no cutting edge, they won't get the goal that starts to give them the confidence and the oxygen to then maybe get a second and get themselves back into the game on the scoreboard. But you see here, this was a great challenge by Lawrence Thomas. He had to get that spot on, and he did, the Western Sydney Wanderers goalkeeper. But they need more of those runs from Costa Barbarouses. We know his conversion rate is good. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities, but he converts more often than he doesn't.
I suppose last season, I mean, we always talk about teams when there is an expectation on, in the nicest possible way. There wasn't as much expectation on Wellington Phoenix last year. We didn't know what they were going to do. And every week, Chiefy seemed to have an answer to everything. He obviously wasn't happy at the start. He was in Sam Sutton's ear here on the wing. He changed his formation a little bit. What do you make of that? I mean, what did you feel he wasn't getting? Beyond the goals, what was he not getting to have to change it that early?
Yeah, look, I think it was those key decisions in the key parts of the pitch. So they were winning the ball back. They were having their fair share of possession in the end. But it's those decisions, and then it's the execution in those clutch moments. And that's what he'll be focusing on in the second half, because they had enough ball. They created enough half chances, but they didn't convert them into proper chances that were actually going to get them on the scoreboard.
Yeah. Now, you never want to concede against anyone. It's probably worse when you can see it against a former player as well. About Kraev, we talked about him beforehand, and what a big game it was for him as well. He's been lively in there on the defensive side, of course, as well. But the goal, it's huge for him.
Yeah, that's right. When you're talking about strikers who score goals and attacking midfielders and things like that, but you're talking about their work rate and what they're doing defensively and how they're setting a platform, that's when you know you're onto a winner, because the goals are the icing on the cake, and that's what you expect of them. And you can see there, 17 goals for in 7.5 games. So scoring goals is not a problem for Western Sydney. Yeah,
as we take a look at the Paramount Plus player index, you see Kraev is standing top there. Borello as influential as ever. Sapsford with the first goal. He really is a goal machine. But Bonitek at the back as well. As you mentioned, we said the 17 goals. They need a performance from that back line as well. The centre-half pairing, you happy enough with that?
Yeah, they've been doing well, I think, and we saw Bonnetique put his body on the line against Tim Payne when he copped one on the side of the head. But the player that doesn't get a mention there that I think deserves one is Cicluna in midfield for Western Sydney. I think he has been a little pit bull terrier in that first half. He's broke a lot of things up. He's played some really intelligent passes through the lines to the opposite pocket, and I think he'll be key moving forward in this second half as well.
I'd be frustrated to bits if someone kept nipping at me and then they were smiling at me, which Borello was doing. What do Wellington Phoenix need to do beyond keeping their composure in the second half?
Well, again, it comes down to what they're doing in the top third once they're getting there, and I really think that's the key. So what Chiefy does off the bench in the second half, I think, will be key to inject some fresh legs in those areas. But certainly they need to, first of all, make sure that the first 10 minutes of the second half is nothing like the first 10 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, talking about minutes, do we see Mata today? Do we want Mata? Do we need him? Is the priority top six and making sure you got a clear 3-goal advantage in this game?
Look, obviously the 3 points is the priority, but I think this game is custom-made for Juan Mata to come off the bench and really show us what he's got. I think the foundation is there. It's been set in the first half. Bring him off the bench if Stadge decides to do so, because he could really open Wellington up as they start to chase for the goal.
Most definitely. Well, that's great. Thank you for that. I quite enjoyed it. And you're going to enjoy the second half. That is the end of the Hungry Jacks halftime show. The second half is well, it's coming up at the other side of the break, but we're going to leave you with this cracking goal. Hopefully we see another one of these ones in the second half. And Tommy Juric. Take care, guys. See you on the other side of the break.
Hersey, good run here by LaRocca inside him. It's going to break for him, actually, the Italian, who bends it. Good block from Simon Juric! Back with a bang! What about the technique from Tommy Juric?
Well, it's a super goal, and that's what strikers thrive on. That's what you want from your striker.
3 for the season, equal top with Gabrielle Cleur. He had a part to play in that first goal as well. Inside the opening minute of this game, Zach Sapsford scoring for Western Sydney. So that's where we sit. 2 goals in the first 10 for Western Sydney, a 2-0 advantage. Can they make it 3 games unbeaten, Western Sydney, and go into the top 6? They need a 3-goal win to slide their way inside the 6 for the moment. So Western Sydney halfway there, 2-0 advantage. Can they continue the pressure in their second 45 minutes? Phil Moss, or can Wellington find an unlikely avenue to a point or 3?
Well, clearly their coach has gone to his bench at half-time to try and force that issue. Walker taking up a position on the right side of the 4-man midfield. And the 2 up front of Costa Barbarouses and Ishigay. As we spoke about towards the end of that first half and again at half-time, and it really is about finding some cutting edge and forcing Lawrence Thomas to do some work.
Kriev towards Borello, just spun away from him. And Corbin Piper finds Walker, who you can see the energy that he's bringing to this game. The 18-year-old was an OFC Under-19 Nations Cup winner in July with New Zealand. They qualified for that Under-20 World Cup, which is going to take place in September 2025. This is the other substitute in Sheridan down this right edge. And here is a free kick for Wellington. Bonatig on Ishige.
Yeah, it's a good decision from Alex King. Ishige does well to get there ahead of the Western Sydney Wanderers defender, Bonatig. Chiefy clearly wanting some more impetus, some more energy in those wide areas. With Matt Sheridan on one side, Nathan Walker on the other. Already just in these opening first couple of minutes, looking positive for Wellington.
Well, they know 1 goal and the adrenaline is really going to start to flow for Wellington. We saw Ishige's free kick in the first half. It was pinpoint. It very nearly brought a chance for Scott Wood. This much closer to goal. Lifting it up to Piper. And he out-muscled Milanovic. Corbin Piper on starting debut. What an opportunity.
He just couldn't get up and over the ball. It was great delivery from Ishige. That nice tail on it. Got his toe around it. The trajectory was good. Corbin Piper just couldn't get his body weight and head over the ball to get a downward trajectory.
Well, some promising signs here for Wellington in the second half. So Walker and Sheridan, the substitutes. Here is Walker. He's showing plenty of spark. This is exciting, Nathan Walker.
Well, look, it might be a little bit harsh because it's very early into his game time this afternoon, but I thought that was a great opportunity that he could have done better with, to just help the ball back across the face of goal. It was great delivery into that far post area.
Ishige didn't allow Walker to run onto it and it broke down, but Walker gets himself goal side and takes off. Alex King was just seeing if the advantage would accrue, and they're coming back for a free kick. So this is good signs here. We've said that already in this half.
Yeah, very good. Good tenacious play by Nathan Walker. He didn't give that up. Got himself back into the front running in the contest, drew the foul, and again Wellington, not for the first time, with a set piece from a wide area in the second half.
that man Yoshige. Japanese youth international. Curling it, not his best free kick that time, behind the run of his attackers. They get a chance at a redo here, but Cluna. You mentioned at halftime, Mossy, how impressed you've been with his work. Well, here he is releasing Sapsford and cross came Sheridan.
Yeah, he had a very good first half, I should say, Cluna. It wasn't just the disruptive nature of his defensive work, it was also on the ball. He picked off some really good passes in between the lines. So far, Western Sydney haven't been able to get any sustained possession in the second half.
Oh, that is a calamity for Wellington. Wow. Sheridan and Nagasawa take each other out. Kriev and Borello. Sapsford. That would have been a disaster for the Knicks. They started this half so well, and this almost.
Well, that's great defensive work by Wellington for Western Sydney. And here's a half chance for Sapsford. He took the first touch well onto his right foot. The angle was just too great for him.
It very nearly could have been 3-0 there off the back of that miscommunication.
Kind of got covered up by the speed of that transitional attack by Western Sydney, but Cicluna again, almost with a no-look pass into the pocket, was the first action that really set that chance up for Western Sydney.
Great endeavour from Piper, and now he creates an opening potentially here for Wellington. Yoshige. But we've touched on it in this match already, the endeavour. The tenacity from Western Sydney to get back when they have lost possession. It's been exemplary in this match so far, and that snuffed out that little half opportunity for the visitors.
Yeah, look, it's a good mindset to get behind the ball and defend and give no space away with the two banks by Western Sydney, but they certainly don't want to be sitting on this 2-0 lead. As we said in the first half and again at half-time, they really need to force this and go for a statement win.
How do you feel about things from a Western Sydney perspective at the moment, Moss? Do you feel like they're sitting on it? Or are you feeling like there is enough attacking thrust?
Not yet, not in the second half. And certainly haven't created any half chances. This is probably the first time they've got into the top third apart from Sapsford and his half chance.
Relante can strike them from here. He thought about it. Clisby then coming around and trying to curl it on the right boot.
Well, he should have done better there. Jack Clisby, I know he's predominantly a left-footed player. We've seen him score a couple of goals with his right foot from similar areas to that. And really, there was no pressure on him not to at least hit the target.
Would have taken him to double figures in his A-League men's career. In match number 244, 9 goals for Jack Clisby. Pretty obvious that foul from Clerc, who doesn't want to go into the book today or he'll miss next week in their trip to Adelaide. If they win this one, Western Sydney, what a mouth-watering matchup that shapes up as. Cooper Stadium, Friday night, Adelaide and Western Sydney Wanderers. Do you think Carl Veart will have calmed down by then, Mossy?
Wasn't he chewing a nest of wasps at full time the other night? Hard to be a coach, huh?
Good Kriev just gliding across the surface. Milanovic deflection into the post. Well, that would have taken him clear in the Golden Boot race with a half dozen for the season. Nick Milanovic, he is just so confident at the moment.
He really is.
Rolante sliding it to the aforementioned Milanovic.
It's probably the first time in the game where we've really seen Milanovic with an open sight on goal. Didn't he give that some? I dare say there was a slight deflection onto the woodwork.
Klur just dropping into the box was Nagasawa. Slip from Barbarouses, and the ball with Kriev. Deflection. Milanovic, he shoots again, and unluckily I think that's come off Sapsford.
There's that Milanovic opportunity. You can see him just dragging the ball into his right foot, and there's the deflection. It takes it on to... Yeah, there's a slight deflection, so you've got to put that down to some good defending by Wellington. I dare say that shot would have at least tested Oluwayemi.
It became the fourth Wanderer to score a hat-trick in the A-League back in November, joining Mark Bridge, Romeo Castellan and Brendan Santalab. 5 for the campaign for Milanovic, very close to making it 6, and could well do so if he gets more openings like that.
Yeah, there's some names from the past, aren't there? Goal scorers who were at this club, and it was absolutely flying.
Borello, Kriev, Milanovic allowed to turn. He may still get a shot off here. Slides it back to Klur. Onto the left, Milanovic! Oh, wow. That very nearly curled inside the far post.
Yeah, and it's a lesson here for Nathan Walker. You should know your opposition players, and you should know that Milanovic has a deadly left foot. So to show him back inside onto that left foot, you're playing with fire. Didn't quite get his radar right on that occasion. He doesn't need too many sighters.
Well, the header from Nagasawa just spills to Cicluna, gets across, crashes Ishige. Tim Payne with pastures of space. Out to the left, Tim Payne snapping the legs of defenders. How often do you see that? Tim Payne.
Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Really good passage of play by Tim Payne. After signing an extension at the club during the week, but really, at the end of it, once again, it's all good to get to those areas of the pitch, but once again, Lawrence Thomas doesn't have a save to make.
Well, let's head downstairs to Tristan McManus. Tristan, what have you made of this second half?
Yeah, I think what you expect. You know, like, it's Phoenix that needs something in. Wanderers are sitting on their lead at the minute because they can. And I think they're waiting because they know that Phoenix are trying to get something out of it. Clisby's holding onto the ball a little bit longer, as is Klur, because they're trying to drag in Sheridan and Walker. And every time Sheridan and Walker go to a gauge, Chiefy's in the rear telling them no, because he knows they're just going to pop it over their heads. So I think as much as Phoenix have come back into it in an attacking way, I still think Wanderers are in full control of this. I think they'll get their third goal on the break, and then they'll close the game out.
Thanks, Tristan. Mossy, that little stat that popped up. So you say Wellington to start this second half, you'd probably say they had the better of it. 5-6 minutes. Well, shots in the second half. Who's leading it? Western Sydney 6-1. Found their groove again, Wanderers. That is a turnover, though, from Lawrence Thomas under pressure. Payne. Find the angle initially. Can he find it now? Thomas flaps at it. Nagasawa. Oh, how about the bicycle? Ishige with another spectacular goal this season in the A-League. They're all bangers from Ishige, and Wellington have a lifeline.
Well, what about the improvisation of that man there, Ishige, on the Harvey Norman replay? Some brilliant work down the right-hand side involving Tim Payne. Look at this give and go. and he leaves Jack Clisby in his wake, and he fires it across goal. Lawrence Thomas can't hold it. It falls to Ashigi, and that is absolutely brilliant improvisation. Look at this. Outstanding, off the thigh, pops it up. He knows his only option is the overhead. He knows how close he is to the goal, and he fires it into the roof of the net to give Wellington a lifeline.
Okay, so resume for Hideki Ishige. Magnificent, incredible free kick against the Mariners, then a bicycle at Western Sydney. First 2 goals in his A-League career. Could you ask for 2 better goals in your entire career?
You could certainly have a nice highlights reel, couldn't you? But Alan Stajic will be absolutely livid. It was a giveaway of possession from Lawrence Thomas in the first instance that gave Wellington possession of the ball, and didn't they make them pay?
Okay, well, there you go. I was talking about that stat a moment ago. Wellington have had 3 shots at goal in that little passage, and they've come away with 1 on the scoreboard. And this is the thing about this sport we love. 2-0 lead. It can evaporate very, very quickly. Western Sydney have got to keep going at them here. Barella. Set up Krajew's goal in the first half, and here is Boshida. Bending it. Oluwayemi flapping. Milanovic. Brillante. Recycling it out to the Bulgarian. Sapsford! Another chance goes begging for Western Sydney.
Oh, the eyes had it there. Krajev saw, he spotted the run to the near post from Sapsford. He just lifted it into that area. He was probably just a bit too far past the near post, Sapsford, to really open up the angle for himself. Made it too acute in the end, but tell you what can happen here is Western Sydney are about to go to their bench. As the game can really open up here, because now Wellington know they need another goal and they're right back in it. And that could open the game up for Western Sydney to score their 3rd.
So Hammond and Antonsen being summoned. Both have scored goals for Alan Stajic this season. And Sapsford very close to his first career double. I wonder if Andy Howe does stats on for Sapsford, goals with the mask and goals without them, because I think he scored more goals with the mask in his A-League men's career. He might just keep it on. It's a lucky charm.
Well, he's a masked crusader, so he sneaks in under the cover of darkness. There he is. He's certainly playing himself into superhero form. Not there yet, but certainly impressive performances this season.
What would you say is in Indiana Jones areas, Mossy?
Not that far up on my superheroes.
What an intriguing finish we have set up at Combank Stadium. Western Sydney firing out of the blocks. 2-0 leaders inside the first 10 minutes. And to be fair, they had many more chances in the first half and in the second. Haven't been able to take any since. And now they sit at a 2-1 lead. For a side that has struggled to close out matches in recent history, this is going to be a real test for them. So a change here for Western Sydney, a double change. So Sapsford, who scored the opening goal inside the first minute, he comes from the field. Very nearly scored a moment ago as well. Antonsen comes on. This was that goal.
Yeah, created supreme. It's twofold. Milanovic and then Barello putting it into the path, laying it into the path of Krajev for a simple finish. Good contribution from the former Wellington man.
Krajev takes his leave. Hayden Hammond comes on, scored in the derby in round 1 against Sydney FC. The young man born in Sydney, spent some time in Portugal. And then via the Mariners to Western Sydney. 8 years he spent in Europe. Coaching staff at Western Sydney have been most impressed by him this year. He's played all 8 matches, 7 of those from the bench. Is he the man that could seal a win here? Barbarousis overhit. If he just measures that and he knows it, hands up to his head. Costa Barbarousis, he thinks, just weight that a little better, and Walker was in.
Well, he saw the pass before he was knocked off balance. By the time he regained his balance, the opportunity was probably gone.
Morello. And Klur. Milanovic turns. Perello was in position there to shoot, probably in a better position than Milanovic. Hammond, dynamic. Klur driving. What an impact! Marcus Antonsen with virtually his first touch of the football. And it's in the back of the net for a 3-1 lead for Western Sydney.
Well, when you put subs on from the bench, you tell them to go on and have an impact, and that's exactly what the 2 Western Sydney subs just did. Aidan Hammond, first of all, involved in that passage of play early on. And then it was played out to Klur, who picked out on the Harvey Norman replay the run of Antonsen, whose first touch of this game was absolutely deadly for his side's 3rd goal of the afternoon. And once again, it's that combination play around the box for Western Sydney Wanderers that comes up trumps. Really good run from Antonsen. He kept himself inside the near post. Klur picked him out exceptionally well. And in the end, a very, very easy finish for the experienced marksman.
7 appearances, all off the bench this season. And what a super sub he is proving. 3 goals in his last 4 matches. And Phil Moss, that's getting into, for an international player in the A-League, that's getting into Pablo Sanchez areas. The Adelaide star who was part of that championship winning season in 15-16 is making the most of his opportunities to impact games from the bench.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say to that is, being a foreigner, they shouldn't be in an impact player position. They should be having an impact over 95 minutes.
Aidan Hammond, another off the bench. Gee, they are looking so dynamic after scoring the 3rd Western Sydney. Tim Payne in a foot race here with Cicluna. Neat little turn from Payne. Sheridan. Try and give themselves a toehold once again, Wellington. They did all the hard work to get it back to 2-1, and then Western Sydney just took it up another gear.
There are always going to be moments of susceptibility for Wellington after getting that first goal, because then the belief comes that you can get the second. That opens the game up a little bit. And Western Sydney with those fresh legs, and you've got to give credit to Aidan Hammond. He played a crucial role in that goal. Perfectly weighted pass into the path of Klur on the right-hand side. He did the rest along with Antonsen.
Ishige scored the goal for Wellington. Looking to release Walker down the left. Nathan Walker onto the right. The deflection. Barbarousis is there, putting his former teammate under some serious pressure, and Lawrence Thomas was able to beat it to safety.
He did really well there, Lawrence Thomas. There was only one option, and it wasn't to catch the ball after this wicked deflection off the left foot of Klur. And as you said, Ben, he was under severe pressure from Costa Barbarousis. He does well there, Lawrence Thomas.
A couple of championships in their back pocket, Thomas and Barbarousis. Costa trying to get one past his former teammate, Ishige. And Piper goes down. A little bit of a scrap in the box. Walker trying to nod it back into the mix-up. And this will bring another corner for Wellington Phoenix. They have looked a little susceptible here.
They have. Barilla did really well there. Sometimes you just can't, because of circumstance, get close enough to the ball carrier, but he just got himself into the path where he thought Ishige was going to deliver that cross, and gets a deflection out for a corner. Danger not averted yet.
Costa having plenty to say in the 6-yard box. Ishige, Piper again. Well, how many opportunities, how many warnings has he given Western Sydney?
Yeah, well, I think this is an easier chance than his last one. He gets up really well there. He's got good air time. He's using his defender to keep himself airborne. Oh, I think he should have got that one down on target.
Hungry Jack's live ladder. Western Sydney at the moment just sitting on the cusp of the 6. MacArthur FC inside. Still have a game before Christmas. They take on the Central Coast tomorrow at Campbelltown. The final match before Christmas in the Isuzu UTE League. Rolante wins it in midfield, driving forward, and then totally fluffed his lines. You don't see that too often. So it's Corbin Piper springing forward for Wellington. Walker v. Clure. He's looked sprightly in this second half, Nathan Walker, and he's won himself a corner here.
Well, Brillante does so well here. He drives at the Wellington defence. Then you see Hammond just peel off to the left. That's the pass Brillante is trying to pick. He's completely off balance and just loses his senses as to where the ball is. And the chance went begging. Wellington with a counter-attack down the other end, and a corner it is.
So Alex King wants a little conversation here. Just telling the players to watch the ball. No bear hugs in the box. Because there is a fair bit going on in front of Lawrence Thomas there. This is going to be chaotic, and Thomas got his fist to it. Hammond dwells on it, and then cleared away by Pelikanos. Ishige, Payne, Barbarousis, Costa Barbarousis. In those kind of situations, he can cause havoc, so they've done well there to smother that strike on goal.
Yeah, they did, but by the time Costa pulls the trigger here, the chance really is gone. There's 4 runners who were all willing and waiting for the delivery. It didn't come.
Look at Milanovic. Doing it all on his own. And still going. Milanovic linking with Antonsen. Now Hammond. And swatted away by Oluwayemi. But what a goal that would have been. Started in his own half by Milanovic. It could still result in a goal. Oh, how did it not? How did that not go in, Mossy?
Well, you tell me. This is brilliant from Milanovic. And then little disguised pass there from Antonsen right into the path of Hammond. And then he regains it on the right-hand side, plays it in. That could have gone anywhere and probably should have gone anywhere but where it ended up. I thought it was we were going to see the net bulge again.
Well, what about Nick Milanovic? He's just irrepressible. It is just an absolute privilege to watch him go about his work.
It's great when you see young players who have clearly the backing of their teammates and the staff to really express themselves.
So there is going to be a litany of changes here for Wellington. So try and keep track of them all if you can. Alte is going to come on. Nagasawa withdrawn, so to Ishige. Kelly Heald's coming on for his first appearance of the season, so great to see Lucas Kelly Heald back. And then Brooke Smith. That is Luke Brooke Smith for his A-League men's debut for the 16-year-old. He was part of the New Zealand under-17 side for the under-17 World Cup, which is going to take place in Qatar next year. And he scored in their qualification win over Fiji in the final. 3-1, they got the job done to qualify for that World Cup. So this is his opportunity to debut in the A-League. He's got a fascinating backstory. His dad was actually a BMX champion. So a talent in the family across multiple sports. Borello, and Borello strikes. Miami with the save. So yeah, he was also a wonderful BMX rider as well, and he's followed the path to football. It's not a crossover you often hear about, BMX and football, but he's followed that Luke Brooke Smith. Speaking from the other end of the equation, Juan Mata getting ready. 36-year-old with James Temelkowski. Rufer and Walker playing a little more centrally now with Brooke Smith taking up a position out wide. Pressure on Pelikanos. So these Wellington Academy graduates are really harassing Western Sydney at the moment. And there's going to be a couple of changes here for Western Sydney. So Juan Mata and James Temelkowski coming into the game. Temelkowski, NPL New South Wales champion with Marconi. Scored the opener in that 3-0 win over Rockdale in the grand final. Winning player of the match. And Brandon Borello is going to be the man withdrawn for him. Mata into the game. Relante takes his leave in midfield. Benches basically cleared for both sides. Is there more drama to come in the final minutes at CommBank Stadium? You'd have to expect it based on what we've seen so far. Plenty of young guns on the field looking to make their mark. Kelly Heald. So I was going to mention before, Kelly Heald, as we see Relante come to the bench. Lucas Kelly Heald, reason he's been absent, picked up a quad injury in the Australia Cup clash with South Melbourne and then suffered a setback. And that's why he hasn't played this season up until round 9. Made his debut at this ground here last year, and he was so impressive against Western Sydney in that clean sheet they kept. Rufer moved away sloppily. see if they can get themselves some set pieces, Wellington. They got the likes of Kelly Hill. Corbin Piper. Brooks Smith as well. Himself again, he's a strong lad. And he comes, and Milanovic has felt that. Heavy touch, pinched by Antonsen. Klur, Temelkoski in the middle. Temelkoski rose and Piper away. Cicluna. It's an awkward fall for Piper. I hope he's all right. Whistle does go eventually for a Wellington free kick.
Yeah, definite foul. As we see Cicluna line up from long distance. And you can see once a player gets underneath the other one, as they're challenging for the ball aerially, it can become quite dangerous.
Just feeling out that back. Corbin Piper, that was a heavy tumble. So inside the final 9 minutes of regulation time. The match has just been drifting for the last few minutes, with a lot of substitutes, players just trying to find their feet in this game. Payne. Klur as he dragged down Walker there. No, it's gone the other way. Nathan Walker looks somewhat confused. It seemed from that angle that Klur had the shirt before Walker did. That's what Nathan Walker was explaining to Alex King.
Clock now well and truly starting to work against Wellington. Get any chance of getting something out of this game, and there I referred to Friday night, Sydney FC down at Coopers, chasing 2 goals, 89th minute I think it was, and the fight back really started. Wellington not out of it yet.
Yeah, things can change very, very quickly. 2-goal leads can evaporate. Klur. And Mata. Klur just bulleted across to Cleesby. Bonatin. Strength from Tim Payne. As Brooks Smith charging. Barbarouses on the inside, but the 16-year-old wins out and slips in Barbarouses. He's got Walker at the back post. Barbarouses to Walker. And it was brilliantly done by Alex Bonatic to get across and ensure Walker didn't haul Wellington back into this one.
You talk about decision making, it's not just when you're on the ball. Look at Bonatic here. He sizes up the situation. He knows where the next danger is going to be from that pass there, and he zeroes in on that back post to make sure he can avert the danger. Brilliant defending from Bonatic.
So Jack Cleesby has gone down. Now I think we're about to see a change here. Oscar Priestman getting ready to come on, and he's going to replace Cleesby. So 4th appearance of the season off the bench for Priestman. He's played 7 of their 8 matches, Western Sydney. The former Sydney FC youth product. Scored for them against Victory last year, and just passing on a gel there to Alex Bonatic. Bit of rocket fuel to get him through these last 5 minutes plus stoppage time. Ishige. Look at that, head and shoulders above the rest. That's a very intriguing player in next, because you'd say Western Sydney have been so dominant. Does that show you, Mossy, that Ishige has been head and shoulders above everyone for Wellington, and that's why he's top, whereas Western Sydney are sharing the load?
Well, certainly the first part, the former, not the latter. I mean, Western Sydney have been collectively better. There's no doubt about that, but I'm surprised to see Ishige that high.
Cicluna, Hammond, and Cicluna, Temelkoski. That was almost like a game of FIFA there, Mossy. Block shots, hitting teammates. Can someone get a strike on goal? And eventually ends in the lap of Oluwayemi.
Well, it started off as good defensively, but all of a sudden Temelkoski finds himself in way too much space from a Wellington perspective inside the box.
Priestman. Here's Milanovic. Being put to the task here by the 16-year-old. He's one out there. He's a very strong young man. He's only 16. Imagine him as he goes on. Wiggins.
Sorry, Ben, that was a great show of strength from two young players, wasn't it? Look at this. What's the second one? Noel Tay up against Priestman.
Mata around the outside. Dropped over the head of Rufer. Walker. Looked to be a tug there on Priestman. Pretty obvious free kick on that occasion for Alex King to blow. Antonson gave Western Sydney some breathing space in this second half with their third goal straight off the bench. Couldn't have the same impact there. Look at that XG. No, we can't read wholly and solely into XG, but Alex ahead of Western Sydney on XG. We wouldn't expect that.
No, I mean, Lawrence Thomas has been busier in the second half. He's had to carry a few to safety. He's obviously picked one out of the back of his net as well, which was that spectacular bicycle kick from Ishigate. But I'm surprised to see the Wellington expected goals that high.
I'm just hazarding a guess without checking that the Ishige goal would have been high XG because it was so close to goal, and the Nathan Walker chance as well. So that probably means that that's why it is so high. So Piper collected by Temelkoski.
Doubt the agricultural nature of that challenge. Temelkoski. Good to see him getting his chance as well. Ben, sorry, Temelkoski from the NPL. Marconi played for.
Yep, player of the match in that grand final win over Rockdale. Antonson has Hammond on his outside, Temelkoski in the middle, and Hammond finds Antonsen. Down he goes. Howls from everyone here at Combank Stadium in red and black.
Here's the replay. Could say that Piper's got maybe half a fistful of Antonsen's jersey early on, but he lets go of it quite quickly. More a hopeful appeal by Antonsen than an appeal of belief.
So 3 minutes of stoppage time. We've had a drinks break. We've had all the substitutions, just the 3 minutes. It's been a fairly free-flowing game though. Cicluna looking for his first goal in the A-League. And Kelly Hill out to Walker. And Priestman cleaning up for Western Sydney.
That's great scampering by Priestman. Just waited for the heavy touch, the opportunity to go and win the ball. And he had eyes only for that. Heard the danger for his side.
Well, time is quickly evaporating for Wellington Phoenix. And to be fair, this scoreline is well and truly deserved for Western Sydney. They've been by far and away the better side this afternoon. Would have been an injustice for them not to win this game, but Adelaide could say the same thing on Friday night. Maybe there is a sting in the tail. Brooke Smith earns a corner. He's been lively. He's been strong. They've got a player here in Luke Brooke Smith.
Yeah, he's certainly strong, isn't he, and quite direct. In the end, Bonatig got across and did his job.
8-time New Zealand age group champion in BMX. Second at the Junior World Champs back in 2019. We're going to hear more about his story. As Kelly Hill draws the save from Lawrence Thomas right at the death. Barbarousis is scrounging for it. And I thought for a moment Lawrence Thomas was going to end up like he did the night of the 2018 Grand Final.
Well, that's why Lawrence Thomas is so highly regarded. He hasn't had a hell of a lot to do this afternoon, but a point-blank save as we're going into injury time, or well into injury time, I should say.
And boots flying about his head. Brave, brave goalkeeper. Hammond. A late sting in the tail here from Aidan Hammond, not to be. Here's another exciting prospect off the bench. Priestman, Antonsen for a second. Oluwayemi, point blank save. Klur is clipping this time. Piper got up. Mata had a go. Now Cicluna. They're shooting from everywhere at the moment, Western Sydney. Cicluna! Oh, what a strike! Off the crossbar. It's over the line now. And you could not ask for a better way to score your first goal in the Isuzu UTE League. And what an exclamation mark for Western Sydney to finish this one.
And what an exclamation mark on an outstanding personal performance this afternoon from that man there, Cicluna, on the Harvey Norman replay. A little bit of pinball going on the edge of the box. Gets a little bit lucky there. There is nothing lucky about that strike, and that is Cicluna's goal. That has crossed the line from distance. That had some absolute venom and gunpowder behind it. Look at that for a strike. His first goal in the A-League, and it'll be hard to beat that one on the highlights reel as his career continues on. But of course, we will have to wait for VAR to give us the green light.
Yep. Well, that looked well and truly over the line for Cicluna. Australian Youth International also spent some time as a youth player in the Maltese side, so he's got a couple of options there. Cicluna
I just wonder if they're checking for offside. Well, I know they'll be checking for offside here.
In the goalkeeper's vision here, Mossy.
Potentially. I hate to see anything rub
So
out
would
a goal
I.
like this.
No, no, no. Here it is.
Nothing there.
This is the chaos moment.
And it'll be whether there's a player coming up that is in. No.
No, there's no issue there.
We're good to go.
Adam Kersey's in the VAR. Cicluna's going, no, you can't possibly take this away from him.
Well, his performance this afternoon deserves a goal. Certainly deserves a goal of that quality as well. What a way to open your account. If it is in fact going to be the one that opens his account.
And how exciting is this for Western Sydney fans? They have got a side and they're putting together performances, especially over the last 5 weeks. 4-1 over Newcastle, a 2-0 win over Melbourne City, draw with Brisbane last week, and 4 more here. Cicluna has his first career goal in the A-League.
Sanity has prevailed.
And Western Sydney, they are going into the top 6 for the moment. Western Sydney Wanderers. A statement win this afternoon against a team that went within minutes of making the grand final last season. This Western Sydney Wanderers side, just 1 defeat in their last 5 now. They are finding some serious form. Ishige scored a spectacular bicycle kick goal in the second half, but it wasn't enough to pull things back for Wellington Phoenix. Alan Stadic's side were irrepressible. And there is a lot to like about the red and black at the moment, especially heading into that clash against Adelaide United on Friday night. Expect some goals and some entertainment. It was all red and black today at Combank Stadium. Full time, Western Sydney Wanderers 4, Wellington Phoenix 1. And let's have a look now at the Alex Tobin points. Dylan Cicluna with 3. And that goal, an exclamation mark at the end. Milanovic a couple and Borello 1. Mossy, that would have been tough to pick.
Yeah, it certainly was. And it wasn't just my set of eyes either, but I just think that exclamation mark from Dylan Cicluna at the end there really nailed it for him. It was a fantastic overall performance, and I thought he was outstanding in midfield for Western Sydney.
Well, let's get some reaction from the player of the match. He's with Tristan.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'm here with Roberto Carlos. At least I think it's Roberto Carlos. That was some strike. Almost got chalked off. I could see your heart in your mouth.
I walked over to King. I went, King, you can't do this to me. I was like, oh, please, mate, I've worked my absolute backside off. The whole team has. And then to top the performance off with a win to score my first goal in the A-League was unbelievable.
It was a fantastic goal, and it was a fantastic game. But I mean, you were everywhere. You were a machine in the centre of midfield, then obviously Clisby came off, you came back to left back, and then you started playing like a striker from there as well. But just how important was the win today?
Oh, it was huge for us. We've been a bit up and down with consistency with the results this season, but for us, we just want to build on it. That now with momentum, go on, focus on the next game, Adelaide away now, try and get 3 points there, and just go on a bit of a run.
It certainly feels like the tide is turning a little bit in the last 3 performances. I felt like you were in complete control of today's game. You probably let them into it in the start of the second half. Probably didn't want to do that. But I mean, again, you took control of the game again. And now it's almost like a revenge game, I suppose, against Adelaide, the only unbeaten team.
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter who we're going to play. Every week we go in with the same mentality and confidence to win the game, get the 3 points, and play the way we do, no matter how the opposition play. And when we play like and we bounce off each other like that, we fancy and back ourselves to win any game.
I know Aiden Hammond thought that he stole that goal. I don't want to keep you from them fans anymore. It was a cracking goal. It was unbelievable. Fully deserved player of the match. Good on you. Good on.
Thank you, Tristan. Thank you, Dylan Cicluna. How good was that to see Dylan Cicluna? What a performance. What a goal to start his A-League men's career. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then Tristan and Mossy are going to be downstairs with the post-game show. It was Western Sydney Wanderers. They are into the top 6 with a 4-1 win over Wellington Phoenix.
Hello there and welcome back to Combank Stadium, where the score has finished Western Sydney Wanderers 4, Wellington Phoenix 1. Mossy, it used to be a treat when you got to open a present on Christmas Eve. Dylan Cicluna's just opened the cracker on the 22nd of December. We're very lucky to be joined by Alan Stajic. Alan, first off, congratulations. Huge win. The 3-goal swing puts you into the top 6. I think you fully deserve it today. What about yourself?
Yeah, look, lots of good parts of the game today. I thought we left a few goals